I wouldn't say I was like an advisor. I'm more like a help. I like to think that we're just we're helping museums show their best sides, their strongest sides, and to discover them. I come from the Estonian National Museum. It's one of the biggest museums in the country. We have about 125 employees, pretty much regularly. And the National Museum is mostly based on ethnographic collections, but when considering ethnographic material, then most of it in the 20th and 21st century is more like everyday culture. So this is what most of our recent research is based on: everyday culture and museum communication in the 21st century. And the other part which we mostly deal with is the Finno-Ugric peoples, different nations which share the same background as us, and that's also the other important part of most of our research. So we're pretty much based on working with people. I myself have worked at the museum for over 2 years now, and I work in a slightly bit different field than most people in museums, because our department deals with other museums, actually. It's our aim to develop the museum field in Estonia, and my job in particular is museum education, exhibitions, and communication issues. So we have a lot of different development projects that are in cooperation with smaller museums in the countryside and in the smaller towns. I'm actually the interesting example, because I did the Museum Mediators course in 2011 myself, so I know pretty well what I'm expecting. But we organize a lot of different courses and seminar days and conferences in our line of work. So we've encountered the same kind of problems over and over again. And one of them is connected to the fact that there's not any like formal training in museum studies or museology. You can't do like a special course in bachelor's or master's or doctorate. It's just some courses in universities. So that means that we don't actually have people with training in museology. So this is the side that we are missing the most. People that work in museums are usually like historians, art historians, archaeologists, maybe whatever, even teachers or former teachers, or people who have studied different languages. It depends on the museum that they're working in. So the thing they all need the most is the part like this introduction to museum studies. So this is what this course mainly last year was about. So I know that this is something that museum workers in Estonia would need. Okay. I think the impact mostly would be on creating a broader picture for people, that they would see their line of work in a broader way. The thing that I myself benefited the most was the literature list. Yeah, literature. So the fact that we are reading different stuff, we're reading different authors, we're reading different articles than they do, for example, here in Portugal or in Barcelona. Just last night, I was discussing with one of the participants, and I managed to give her some recommendations, even though she works at the university. So it doesn't it doesn't necessarily mean that we read less or that we don't know the authors. We just read different things. we read different theories, and we base our work on different theories. So I think the biggest impact of the whole project would be kind of transfer of knowledge, because the museum circle, even in bigger countries, is still quite a small circle. It's a circle of same people, since they usually work in museums for, well, a lot more than 1 or 2 years. Then the circle becomes very closed. And this is a very important part of this project, that the circle and the theories that circulate are not the same all the time. It's actually one of the issues we've had so far, that we perceive the word mediation very differently, because the countries whose language is based on Romanic languages, they understand it in one way, and me being from Estonia and a Finnish partner, we don't even have that word. There's no way for me to make like a straight translation, so we really have to talk it through. For me, mediation is a broader term. It's not just museum education, but everything that is between collections and the visitor. So pretty much everything that we do in the museum. So I think this course is something that would benefit not only museum educators, but people working with exhibitions or even marketing.